Before the day truly begins, before a single lamp is lit or a door is unlatched, there's a quiet moment where the world feels as though it is holding still just for you. The sky above rural America in the early 1800s is a soft, colorless blue, thin as breath, with the last stars fading one by one. The land rests in silence. Fields lie dark and patient. Fences trace gentle lines through the morning mist. Nothing hums, nothing glows, nothing interrupts the calm except the natural rhythm of the earth itself. This is a world without hurry, a world that moves only as fast as the sun. If stories like this help you unwind, relax, and drift towards sleep, take a moment now to subscribe, to like the video, and to share a quiet comment below. You are listening to Stories of America, where the past lives softly, one peaceful day at a time. Inside a modest wooden house, the night still lingers. The walls are thick with the scent of pine and old smoke. A small window admits the faintest light, just enough to outline the shape of the room. A simple bed rests against one wall, its quilt heavy and hand-stitched, worn smooth by years of use. The air's cool, carrying the earthy smell of damp ground and ashes from the hearth. You wake slowly, not to a sound, but to a feeling, the sense that morning has arrived. Your breathing is unhurried. There's no reason to rise quickly. Outside, a distant rooster calls once, then falls quiet again. Somewhere farther off, a horse shifts its weight in a stall, leather tack giving a soft creak. Your feet touch the wooden floor, cool and solid. The boards respond with a gentle groan, familiar and unbothered. You move carefully, knowing every step by memory. Near the hearth, gray ash waits patiently, holding warmth beneath its surface. You kneel, brushing it aside, revealing a small orange glow still alive from the night before. A few pieces of split wood are placed with care, a breath, a spark. The fire answers slowly, stretching awake with a low crackle. The room begins to change, light and warmth spreading without urgency. As dawn grows stronger, it paints the walls in pale gold. Simple furnishings come into view. A sturdy table marked by years of work and meals, shelves holding clay bowls and tin cups, a coat hanging near the door, heavy and dependable. Everything has earned its place here. Outside, the mist thins. Dew clings to grass and fence rails. Birds begin to stir, one note at a time. The day does not announce itself loudly. It simply arrives. And so begins one quiet day in pre-electric 1800s America, lived slowly, moment by moment, as the world gently wakes around you. The fire settles into a steady glow, no longer flickering uncertainly, but breathing in a calm, even rhythm. Warmth gathers near the hearth and slowly reaches the far corners of the room, taking the edge off the morning chill. You stand there for a moment, hands loosely folded, watching the flames move as if they are thinking their way through the day ahead. A kettle rests nearby, its iron surface dark and smooth from years of use. You lift it with both hands, feeling its familiar weight, and pour in water drawn the evening before. When it is set above the fire, it does not hurry. There is time enough for warmth to travel through metal, for the first faint whisper of heat to rise. You cross the room and unbar the door. It opens with a soft wooden scrape, releasing the cool morning air inside. Outside, the ground is damp beneath your boots, the earth yielding slightly with each step. The yard is quiet, edged by a split-rail fence silvered by age. A chicken scratches near the fence line, pausing now and then to tilt its head, listening. Beyond the yard, fields stretch out in gentle rolls. The grass bends under the weight of dew, each blade catching the growing light. A narrow path leads toward the barn, where the dark shape of the building rests against the brighter sky. Its doors are closed, but life stirs within. You can hear it now, the low sound of an animal shifting, the faint clink of a chain. As you walk, your breath forms small clouds that vanish almost at once. The air smells clean and raw, touched with hay, soil, and old wood. You open the barn door slowly, careful not to startle the horse inside. It turns its head toward you, ears flicking, eyes calm and knowing. You move through the familiar routine without thought. A hand rests briefly on the horse's neck, warm beneath your palm. Feed is measured, placed into the trough. Water is checked, the bucket cold and slick. Each task follows the last in a quiet order, learned over many mornings like this one. Back at the house, the kettle begins to murmur. Not a boil yet, just a soft sound, like breath moving through a narrow space. You pour ground coffee into a small pot, the scent rising rich and dark, filling the room with warmth even before the drink is ready. A piece of bread baked days ago is cut and set near the hearth to warm. You sit at the table as the light strengthens, holding the tin cup between your hands. The first sip is slow, deliberate. Heat spreads through you, gentle and steady. Outside, the village begins to stir. A door opens somewhere down the road. Footsteps pass, unhurried. Morning has fully arrived now, not with noise, but with presence. And the day continues to open itself before you, wide and calm. The cup warms your palms, and for a while you let yourself sit in the stillness, listening to the house settle as it always does when the air begins to change. Wood expands with the first real heat of morning. A faint tick comes from the hearthstone. Somewhere in the walls, a tiny creak answers back, as if the house is stretching awake along with you. When the coffee is finished, you rinse the cup with a small pour of water and set it upside down to dry. Nothing is rushed, because nothing needs to be. You take a cloth from a hook by the door and wipe the table where a few crumbs remain. Then fold the cloth and return it to its place, neat and ready for later. The light in the window has turned from pale to honeyed. Dust motes float lazily in the sunbeams, drifting with no purpose at all. Outside, the yard is brighter now, the dew beginning to lift from the grass in slow, invisible threads. You gather what you need for the morning's work. A simple hat, a pair of worn gloves, a small knife tucked safely away, its handle smoothed by years of use. You lift a wooden pail and step outside, letting the door close behind you with a soft, final sound. The air carries more life now. Birds call from the trees, each one distinct, separated by pauses of silence. A breeze moves across the open fields, bringing the scent of leaf and soil and the faint sweetness of clover. From farther down the road, you hear a wagon wheel creak, slow and familiar, as someone else begins their own day. You walk toward a small patch of garden near the house, bordered by stones and rough boards. The plants are low but thriving, each leaf fresh with morning moisture. You crouch and loosen the soil with your fingers, feeling its coolness, its gentle give. Weeds are pulled carefully, their thin roots releasing with a soft tug. You drop them into the pail, the sound dull and quiet. Nearby, a line of laundry from yesterday hangs on a rope strung between two posts. The cloth is stiff with cool air, but it smells clean, carrying the plain scent of soap and sun. You take each piece down slowly, folding it as you go, the fabric rasping softly under your hands. Shirts, linens, a towel or two. Each fold is calm, precise, almost soothing in its repetition. When the basket is full, you carry it inside and set it on a chair. The house feels warmer now, as if it has fully accepted the day. The fire's steady, its crackle low and comforting. The pot on the hearth, filled with water, has begun to steam faintly, sending a soft breath into the room. You move to a small basin and wash your hands, rubbing them with a bar of soap that smells faintly of lye and herbs. The water's cool, but not unpleasant. You dry your hands on a cloth and hang it back, letting it fall into place. Outside again, you head toward the woodpile. Logs are stacked in tidy rows, their cut ends pale and clean, their bark rough beneath your gloves. You select several pieces, lifting them one by one, feeling the solid certainty of their weight. The smell of fresh-cut wood rises sharp and clean, and for a moment it feels like the scent of the whole day. You carry the logs to the house and set them near the hearth, ready for later. Preparedness is part of the rhythm here. Everything done now makes the next hours easier, smoother, quieter. As you step back out into the yard, The sun climbs higher, and the morning has become fully formed, steady and bright, inviting you onward into the next simple tasks that will shape the rest of this peaceful day. With the wood brought in and the small morning chores neatly tended, you let yourself stand for a moment in the doorway, half inside the warmth of the house and half in the cool open air. The threshold feels like a pause in the day, a quiet seam between shelter and land. The road beyond the yard is waking now. Not bustling, not loud, only gently active. A neighbor walks past with a slow stride, the sound of boots soft on packed earth. A brief nod is exchanged, a simple recognition that requires no extra words. Farther off, a dog gives a single bark, then settles again, as if even it respects the calm. You turn toward the pump near the side of the house. The handle is cold beneath your hand, iron darkened from years of touch. When you work it, the motion is steady, the hinge giving a familiar squeak. Water spills into a bucket with a hollow, pleasant sound, bright and clear. Drops leap and scatter, darkening the soil in small circles. The bucket is heavier now, and as you lift it, you feel the solid pull in your arms. You carry it carefully, the water shifting with each step, sloshing softly against the wooden sides. Inside, you set it near the hearth, where it can be reached throughout the day. The morning meal has been small, but there is always something more to prepare for later. You take cornmeal from a crock and measure it into a bowl. Salt follows, pinched between fingers, fine and pale. A spoon stirs slowly, the sound of wood against clay quiet and rhythmic. When you add water, the mixture thickens, smooth and heavy, and the smell of grain rises faintly. You shape it into simple cakes, flattening each one gently, then lay them on a hot surface near the fire. They begin to cook without fanfare. A mild scent fills the room, warm and plain, the kind of smell that belongs to kitchens that have always worked this way. While they cook, you tidy without thinking. A few items are set back where they belong. A lid is placed on a crock. A chair is pushed in. It is not perfection you are seeking, only order, the kind that makes a home feel steady. Outside, the sunlight brightens further, and the shadows sharpen slightly at the edges. You can hear more signs of life now. The faint metallic tap of a tool somewhere, the short call of a bird, the gentle rustle of leaves. The day is widening, opening its arms. When the cakes are ready, you place them on a plate and eat slowly, tasting the simple comfort of warm grain. Each bite is unhurried. The warmth from the fire, the quiet of the room, and the steady light through the window all seem to soften the mind. After the meal, you rinse the bowl, wipe it dry, and return it to the shelf. Then, you gather what you will need for the work ahead. Perhaps today requires tending the fence line where a rail has loosened, or walking out to the field's edge to inspect the ground and the growth. Perhaps there is a small repair waiting, a hinge that needs tightening, a board that needs planing. You take up a few tools, each one familiar. Their handles are worn smooth, shaped by hands that have used them season after season. You fit them into a simple satchel and step outside again, letting the door close gently behind you. The sun is now fully above the trees, and the morning has matured into something steady and bright. The land waits patiently for your attention, and you move toward it at the same slow pace the day itself seems to keep. You walk along the edge of the yard toward the fence line, tools resting quietly in your satchel. The ground is firm now as the dew lifts, and each step makes only a soft sound in the dirt. The fence is simple and weathered, rails pale where the sun has dried them year after year. You find the spot that needs attention, one rail sagging slightly, its end loosened from the post. You set down your satchel and kneel, brushing away a little grass and loose soil to see the join more clearly. Your hands move with calm certainty. A wooden peg is checked, then nudged back into place. You tap it gently with the back of a tool, not striking hard, only guiding it. The wood answers with a dull sound, steady and satisfying. When the rail sits firm again, You pause and feel the quiet pride of a small thing made right. From where you kneel, you can see the field beyond. The surface is uneven, dotted with stubble and patches of green. A breeze crosses it, and the grass ripples in a slow wave. Farther off, a wagon moves along the road at an easy pace, wheels turning as if they have all day. You stand, stretch your fingers once, and pick up the satchel. A bird calls from the trees, then falls silent. The sun is warm on your shoulders now, not hot, only present. You continue along the fence, checking posts as you go. Most are sound. Some lean slightly, but not enough to worry over. You make a mental note of what will need attention another day, and let the thought drift away, light as dust. When you reach the far corner, you stop and look back toward the house. Smoke rises in a thin line from the chimney, almost still against the sky. The yard looks peaceful, orderly, and small in the wide land around it. You turn back toward home, walking slowly, tools quiet in your bag, the morning moving onward without hurry. By the time you return to the yard, the light has shifted again, lifting higher and settling more fully over the land. Shadows shorten at the base of the fence posts. The air feels steadier now, warmer, but still gentle. You set the satchel down just inside the door and hang your hat on its peg. Inside, the house holds the day's warmth, the hearth quiet but alive. The fire has softened into glowing coals, giving off a slow, even heat that fills the room without effort. You take a moment to sit, easing into a chair near the window. From here, you can see the road, the field, and a strip of sky beyond. Time moves in small, observable ways. A cloud passes. A leaf falls and lands without sound. Nothing calls for your attention, and that feels right. After resting a while, you rise and tend to the hearth, adding one small piece of wood. It catches gradually, the flame low and patient. A pot is set nearby, not yet for cooking, just to warm water for later use. You wash your hands again slowly, letting the cool water run over your fingers. The basin is emptied outside, the water darkening the ground in a quiet splash before soaking in. Midday approaches without announcement. There is no bell, no signal, only the feeling of the sun overhead and the steady rhythm of the body. You prepare a simple meal, nothing elaborate. Bread is sliced. A bit of cured meat is set out. Everything is eaten at the table, unhurried, with small pauses between each bite. Outside, the village continues its quiet motion. Voices drift by briefly, low and indistinct. A door opens and closes down the road. Life carries on, close but not pressing. When the meal is finished, you clear the table and step back outside. The afternoon lies open now, wide and calm, ready for the slower hours that follow. The afternoon air feels softer, warmed through, carrying the scent of sunlit grass and dry wood. You walk toward the barn again, not because anything is urgent, but because the animals and tools have their own quiet schedule, and you follow it like a familiar tune. Inside, it is cooler. The shade holds the smell of hay, leather, and dust. You check the horse first, speaking no more than a low sound, a simple presence. The animal stands calm, breathing slow. You run your hand along its neck, feeling the short coat and the steady heat beneath. A few small tasks follow. You top off water, straighten a strap, lift a fallen pitchfork back to its place. Each movement is modest and exact. Nothing dramatic, only care. Outside again, you cross to a small stack of split wood and choose a few pieces that will be needed later. You carry them to the porch and set them down neatly. The sound of wood meeting wood is dull and comforting, like a quiet punctuation mark. You pause on the porch step. The road is empty for the moment. In the distance, a line of trees stands dark against the bright sky, leaves turning gently in the breeze. A single insect hums near the steps, then drifts away. With no need to hurry, you take a slow walk to the garden patch. You check the plants with an easy glance, touch a leaf, brush away a bit of soil near a stem. The sun has coaxed everything upward, and the green looks full and healthy. You pick a small handful of something ready, holding it lightly as if it were fragile. When you head back toward the house, the day feels settled into its middle hours, steady and peaceful, as if it will stay like this forever. The afternoon continues without ceremony. Inside the house, the air is still, carrying the faint scent of wood smoke and warm grain. You set the small harvest from the garden on the table, rinsing it carefully in a basin. Water beads on the surface, catching the light before slipping away. There is a short stretch of time now with nothing required of you. These hours are not empty, only quiet. You take a seat near the window again, this time with a simple task in your hands. A bit of mending waits, a seam loosened from use. Needle and thread move slowly in and out, the rhythm almost like breathing. The sound of the thread pulling through cloth is barely there, a soft whisper. Your eyes follow the work without strain. Outside, the breeze passes through the trees, and their leaves respond in a low, steady murmur. When the seam is finished, you tie the thread off and set the garment aside. The satisfaction is small but complete. Another thing made right. Later, you step outside with the basin and pour the water onto the ground near the garden. It darkens the soil, soaking in, returning where it belongs. You stand there a moment longer than necessary, watching the earth drink it in. The sun begins its slow descent, not yet close to evening, but no longer at its highest. Light shifts, becoming warmer, softer at the edges. Shadows stretch just a little farther than before. From somewhere down the road, you hear the faint sound of laughter, brief and distant, then gone. Life continues all around, never intruding, always present. You return indoors and begin thinking gently toward the evening, knowing the pace of the day will slow even further, easing you forward without effort. As the light softens, you begin the quiet preparations that make evening feel smooth. You add a small piece of wood to the hearth and let it catch slowly, just enough to brighten the room with a steady glow. You take out what you will use for supper, simple things that keep well. A bit of salt, a small portion of dried beans, the vegetables from the garden. Nothing fancy, nothing hurried. You rinse and trim them, the knife making a gentle sound against the board. A pot is set near the fire, and water goes in first. When it warms, you add the beans, then the vegetables, letting the heat do its patient work. Soon a mild, comforting smell rises, plain and wholesome, filling the house like a soft blanket. While it simmers, you do small, tidying tasks. A chair is shifted back into place. A cloth is folded. A cup is rinsed. Each movement is quiet, the kind of care that keeps a home feeling calm. Outside, the day leans further toward evening. The sky takes on a faint golden tone near the horizon. Birds grow less talkative. The breeze cools slightly, brushing the skin with a gentler touch. When the food is ready, you sit at the table and eat slowly. Steam curls upward, disappearing into the dimmer air. Each bite is warm and steady, and between bites you pause, listening to the soft crackle of the fire. After the meal, you clean the pot and set it aside. The work of the day is not heavy now. It is winding down, like a river smoothing as it nears a quiet bend. The sky outside deepens in color, moving from pale gold to a muted blue-gray. Evening settles gently, not all at once, but in layers. You step outside for a moment, letting the cooler air brush against your face. The road is quiet now. No wagons pass, no voices carry, only the soft sounds of the land remain. Crickets begin their steady song, one after another, filling the spaces between thoughts. You gather a few more pieces of wood and bring them inside, stacking them neatly near the hearth. Their presence feels reassuring, a promise of warmth through the night. You light a small lamp, its flame steady and calm, casting soft shadows that move slowly along the walls. The house grows quieter as the fire lowers to a gentle glow. You take a seat again, this time closer to the hearth, and let the warmth reach your hands and feet. The day's work has settled into your body, leaving only a pleasant tiredness behind. For a while, you simply sit. There is nothing to hold, nothing to fix. The sound of the fire, the rhythm of the insects outside, and your own breathing form a quiet harmony. The light fades further. Shapes in the room soften, edges less sharp. You feel the day letting go, loosening its hold. Night is approaching now, not as something sudden, but as a slow, welcome companion. Darkness gathers outside the windows, not heavy, only deep and calm. The last color leaves the sky, replaced by a quiet blue that slowly turns to black. A few stars appear, faint at first, then steadier, as if settling into their places. You rise and move through the house one more time, checking what needs checking. The door is barred gently. The lamp is turned lower. Everything feels settled, complete. The house seems to breathe with you, warm and still. You wash your hands and face with cool water, the touch refreshing and soft. The basin is emptied, the sound brief and dull against the ground outside. When you return indoors, the fire has settled into glowing embers, casting a low, steady light. You sit once more, letting the quiet wrap around you. Outside, the crickets continue their song, even and unbroken. Somewhere in the distance, an owl calls once, then silence returns. Your body grows heavier, pleasantly so. Muscles loosen. Thoughts slow. There's nothing left to plan, nothing left to do. Only the night, stretching gently ahead. Soon you rise and prepare for rest, moving without effort, guided by habit and comfort rather than thought. You carry the lamp closer to where you sleep, its small flame steady, its light warm and soft. It does not brighten the whole room, only the space around you, leaving the corners dim and peaceful. The bed waits with its heavy quilt folded back. The fabric is worn smooth, familiar against your hands. You loosen your clothing and set it neatly on a chair, each piece placed with care, as if the order itself helps the mind grow quiet. Before lying down, you add one small piece of wood to the hearth, not to build a strong fire, only to keep a gentle warmth through the first part of the night. The flame catches slowly, then settles, content to glow. You blow out the lamp. Darkness fills the room at once, but it is not empty. The embers give a faint red pulse. Moonlight slips through the window in a thin stripe, pale and still. You lie down, letting the quilt settle over you. Its weight is comforting, pressing softly, like a steady hand. The mattress gives under you in the same familiar places, shaped by nights and years. Outside, the night sounds continue. Crickets, a far-off rustle in the trees, a faint distant call that fades before you can hold on to it. Your breathing deepens, slow and even. The day is now far behind you, folded away like finished work. All that remains is rest, quiet and complete. Sleep comes gradually, not all at once, like a tide easing its way in. Your thoughts soften and lose their edges, drifting without direction. The sounds of the night blend together, becoming a single, steady presence that no longer asks for attention. The embers in the hearth dim further, their glow slow and steady, rising and falling like a quiet breath. Shadows rest where they have settled. Nothing moves inside the house now except the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Outside, the land sleeps as well. Fields lie dark and still. The road holds no footsteps. The sky stretches wide above everything, stars fixed and patient, keeping their silent watch. Time feels different now. Longer, wider. There's no sense of minutes passing, only the deep comfort of being held by the night. Your body sinks more fully into rest, muscles loose, jaw unclenched, hands relaxed. The quiet becomes complete, wrapping around you, carrying you deeper into sleep. The night moves on without notice. Hours pass softly, unmarked, unmeasured. The house remains still, its wooden frame holding warmth and silence with equal care. A faint breeze finds its way through the cracks around the window, cool and clean. It carries the scent of grass and distant trees, then slips away again. The quilt shifts slightly as you turn, settling back into place on its own. Somewhere far off, an animal stirs, then quiet returns. The crickets continue, steady and even, their sound no longer separate but woven into the darkness itself. Your sleep deepens. Dreams, if they come at all, are slow and indistinct, more like feelings than images. There is no weight in them, no urgency, only gentle movement. The night holds everything exactly as it should. Toward the middle of the night, the air cools a little more. The embers in the hearth have faded to a soft, sleepy red, barely bright enough to outline the stones around them. Your breathing remains slow and calm. The house is quiet, but not lifeless. Wood makes a small settling sound now and then, a tiny creak as the temperature shifts. It feels natural, like the home is adjusting itself to keep you comfortable. Outside, the sky is at its darkest. Stars shine more clearly now, sharp points in the stillness. The fields and trees are only shapes, resting in shadow. A faint owl call drifts through the night, distant and brief. Then, the world returns to its steady hush. You remain asleep, held gently by the quiet. Slowly, almost without notice, the night begins to loosen its grip. The darkness remains deep, but there is a subtle change in the air, a feeling that time is turning. The house stays quiet. The quilt rests where it has settled. Your body remains heavy with sleep, undisturbed, resting fully in the hours meant for nothing else. Outside, the crickets grow fewer, their rhythm thinning until only an occasional call remains. The breeze has stilled. The land seems to pause, suspended between night and what will come after. Inside, the last warmth of the hearth lingers in the stones, barely felt, but still there. The room is calm, complete, untouched by any need. Sleep holds steady, deep and gentle. A faint light begins to gather beyond the window, so subtle it barely changes the darkness. It is not yet morning, only the first quiet suggestion that the night is easing back. You remain asleep, breathing slow and even. The world does not ask you to wake. The house holds its silence, keeping the moment undisturbed. Outside, the sky softens from black to deep blue. Stars fade one by one, not disappearing, only retreating. The land stays still, wrapped in the last calm hours before dawn. Inside, nothing moves, nothing needs to. The first true change is not light, but sound. Somewhere beyond the window, far out near the tree line or the edge of a field, a single bird gives a quiet note, tentative and brief. It is answered a moment later by another, then another still, each call separated by long pauses of hush. The night does not break. It simply begins to thin, as if the darkness has decided gradually to step back. Inside the house, the air feels cool and clean. The scent of last night's fire remains, faint and dry, mixed with the softer smell of wood and cloth. The hearth is cold now, though the stones still hold a memory of warmth. The embers have gone dark, leaving only gray ash settled like fine powder. You sleep on, deep and untroubled. Your breathing is slow, steady, and unforced. The quilt rises and falls gently with your chest, its weight familiar, comforting, like something that has learned the shape of you over many nights. One hand rests near your side, relaxed, fingers loose. Your face is calm, softened by rest. Outside, the sky shifts again. The deep blue near the horizon becomes slightly lighter, as if someone has brushed a thin wash of color across it. The world is still mostly shadow, but the edges of things begin to return. The outline of a fence, the rounded shape of a tree, the low slope of a field. A faint breeze stirs for a moment, moving across the grass and through the branches. Leaves answer with the quietest rustle, then settle again. The air carries a cool dampness, the lingering moisture of night, and with it the scent of soil and greenery. fresh and clean, like the earth has just been rinsed. In the house, the wood makes a small sound, a gentle creak as the temperature shifts. It is not loud enough to wake you, only a reminder that the home is alive in its own quiet way, expanding and settling as night gives way to morning. Somewhere in the room, a hanging coat shifts slightly, then stills again. Your sleep remains steady. If dreams come, they pass like slow clouds, without sharp edges, without urgency. They do not pull at you. They drift through and dissolve, leaving only a soft emptiness behind. Outside, the birds continue their patient awakening. One call, then silence. Another, then a pause. The sound feels delicate, like it might break if rushed. The world seems to be waking carefully, as though it is trying not to disturb you. The horizon lightens a little more, and the darkness in the yard becomes a gentle gray. Dew sits heavy on the grass, each blade bowed slightly under its weight. The road is empty, smooth, and quiet, waiting for the first footsteps of the day. The fields look calm and wide, resting in the soft, in-between light. Inside, you turn slightly in your sleep. The quilt shifts with you, settling back into place. The movement is slow and natural, and when you are still again, the room returns to complete quiet. Dawn continues to gather outside, not yet bright, not yet warm, but steady in its approach. It feels like the beginning of a new day, forming itself quietly from the last moments of night. The fire catches in a gentle way, not bursting into flame, but waking as if it has all the time in the world. A thin ribbon of smoke rises. Then the kindling begins to glow, and small flames curl around the wood with a soft crackle that feels like a familiar voice in the room. You sit back on your heels for a moment and watch, letting the warmth reach your hands. The scent of fresh smoke mixes with the dry smell of ash, and the whole house seems to settle into its morning shape again. A kettle waits near the hearth, dark iron and steady weight. You fill it from the bucket and set it close to the heat, where it can warm slowly. The sound is quiet, only the faint touch of metal on stone. As the room brightens, you move through simple waking routines without thought. You straighten the quilt, smoothing it once with your palm. You fold it back neatly. Clothing is gathered from the chair, shaken out lightly, and put on piece by piece, each familiar layer falling into place. The fabric feels cool at first, then warms as it rests against you. At the window, you pause and look out. The yard is clear now, the last mist gone. Dew shines on the grass like tiny glass beads. Sunlight rests along the fence rails and lights the tops of the weeds by the road. A bird hops near the garden patch, pecking once, then lifting its head to listen. Farther out, the fields are brightening, their surface uneven with growth and stubble. The tree line stands dark and calm, leaves barely moving. The road is still empty, but you can feel it will not remain that way for long. Morning always brings its slow procession. When the kettle begins to whisper, you take down a simple cup and prepare a warm drink. The smell rises gently, filling the room with something rich and grounding. You carry the cup to the table and sit, hands wrapped around it, letting the heat seep into your palms. There is no urgency in this first meal of the day. You take a small piece of bread, break it slowly, and eat in quiet bites. Between each one, you pause. You listen to the fire. You watch the light shift on the floorboards. You feel the calm steadiness of being exactly where you are. Outside, the first signs of the village returning appear. A distant door opens. A faint footstep passes along the road. Somewhere far off, a wagon wheel gives a slow creak, then fades again. When you finish, you rinse the cup and set it aside. You take a moment to stand near the doorway, feeling the cooler air drift in and the warmth of the hearth behind you. The day has returned fully now, and it invites you forward into its gentle rhythm, ready to be lived again, slowly and quietly, from morning into whatever comes after. The light grows stronger in small, careful steps, as if it is being poured into the world a spoonful at a time. Gray becomes pale, and pale becomes a soft, watered gold that spreads across the yard and clings to the edges of every surface. A thin stripe of dawn slips through the window and rests on the floorboards. It reveals the grain of the wood, the faint scuffs left by boots, the gentle unevenness that comes from years of use. Dust floats in the beam, slow and weightless, turning lazily as if it has nowhere else to be. You're still asleep, but your body begins to shift toward waking. Not with any sudden start, only with a subtle easing. Your breathing changes first, becoming a little lighter, a little less deep. The heaviness of the night slowly loosens from your limbs. Outside, the birds are more confident now. Their calls overlap, not loud, but fuller, like a quiet chorus warming up. Somewhere close by, a chicken stirs in its roost, feathers rustling softly. A distant rooster offers a single call, clear and measured, then stops, allowing silence to return. The air has a crispness to it that belongs only to early morning. It carries the scent of damp grass and earth and the faint sweetness of plants beginning to warm under the first sun. The breeze, when it comes, feels gentle and cool against the skin, and it brings with it the quiet promise of a calm day ahead. Inside, you turn again, slower this time, as if testing the edge of wakefulness. The quilt slides slightly, then settles, its weight still comforting. Your hand shifts across the fabric, fingers brushing the stitching, the texture familiar even without thought. A moment passes where you hover between sleep and morning, suspended in that soft space where nothing is required. The house is peaceful. The world outside is peaceful. Even time seems to move more slowly here, as though the day is careful not to rush into being. Then, your eyes open. At first, you do not move. You simply look at the ceiling above you, the boards dark and steady, and you listen. The sound of birds, the faint distant stir of life beyond the walls, the quiet breathing of the house itself. You sit up gradually, feeling the cool air on your face. The room is dim but no longer dark. Light fills it softly, touching the table, the chair, the shelf with its bowls and cups. The hearth sits quiet and gray. The ashes settled, waiting. Your feet find the floor. The boards are cool beneath you and they give a small, familiar creak as you stand. You stretch once, slow and unforced, letting your shoulders loosen and your back lengthen. The day has returned. You move toward the hearth and kneel, brushing aside the ash to search for any warmth left beneath. There is the faintest hint of it, a tiny ember hiding like a secret. You place kindling carefully, then a few small sticks. You strike a spark, patient and calm, and the fire begins again, slowly, without haste. Outside, morning continues to open, brightening the world one quiet moment at a time. You step outside and let the morning air settle around you. It is cooler than the house, clean and bright, with the scent of damp soil rising as the sun begins to warm the ground. The yard feels freshly washed, every surface softened by light. You walk toward the pump and draw water in a steady rhythm, the handle moving with a familiar squeak. The water spills into the bucket with a clear sound, and for a moment you watch the surface tremble, then grow still again. A chicken wanders across the yard, unbothered, stopping to peck once at the ground. Farther off, a neighbor's dog moves through the grass, nose low, then disappears behind a shed. You carry the bucket back inside and set it down where it will be easy to reach. The house feels ready now, as if it has been properly opened to the day. You add one small piece of wood to the fire, not to make it hot, only to keep it steady. There are small tasks to do, but they come softly, one at a time. You straighten a shelf. You wipe the table once with a cloth. You check that what you need is where it should be. These are not chores that weigh on you. They are simple motions that keep life smooth. Then you pause, listening. Outside, the road has grown slightly more active. A wagon passes at a slow pace, wheels pressing lines into the dirt. The driver's voice is low, a brief greeting to someone unseen, then quiet again. Hooves make a dull, steady sound, before fading into the distance. You step back out, drawn toward the open air. The garden catches your attention, bright green in the morning sun. You walk along its edge and look closely at the plants, not searching for problems, only noticing. A leaf shines with dew, a small insect rests on a stem, then lifts away. The sun is higher now, and the warmth on your shoulders feels gentle and reassuring. The day is fully awake, yet still calm, still slow. Nothing pushes, nothing pulls. You stand for a moment longer, letting the quiet settle deep, and then you turn toward the next easy work waiting in the hours ahead. The morning carries on at its unhurried pace, settling into a steady calm that feels easy to follow. You gather a few simple tools and walk once more along the edge of the yard, not to fix anything in particular, only to keep an eye on what belongs to you. The fence stands quiet in the sun. The posts cast short shadows now, dark at their bases. You rest a hand on one rail, feeling the dry texture of the wood, warm from the light. It holds firm. There is nothing to change. From this place, the village feels close and distant at the same time. A thin line of smoke rises from a chimney down the road. Somewhere, metal taps lightly against metal, then stops. Life continues, modest and calm, each person moving through their own small set of tasks. You walk back toward the house and sit on the porch step. The boards are warm beneath you. You lean back slightly and let your gaze wander across the land. Clouds move slowly overhead, stretched and thin. Their shadows drift across the fields, darkening the grass for a moment before passing on. Your thoughts remain light. There is no need to plan far ahead. The day will unfold as it always does, one quiet hour following the next. The comfort of routine settles around you, steady and dependable. A breeze passes, lifting the edge of your sleeve, then moving on. Leaves stir softly in response. The sound fades, and silence returns, full and complete. You take a slow breath in, then let it out just as slowly, feeling the deep ease of the moment. This is how days are meant to be lived here. Simple, grounded, unrushed. The sun continues its gentle climb, and you rise at last, ready to move forward with the calm work of the hours ahead, carrying the quiet of the morning with you as the day goes on. The day begins to lean forward again, almost without your noticing. The sun shifts just enough to change the color of the light, turning it warmer, softer, as if afternoon is quietly taking hold. You return inside for a short while, letting the calm of the house surround you once more. The fire has settled into a low, steady presence, its warmth gentle and even. You add nothing to it. There is no need. It knows how to hold itself. You take a moment to sit at the table, resting your hands on the smooth wood. The surface carries the memory of many days like this one. Meals eaten slowly, tools set down carefully, moments of rest taken without guilt. The house feels full, not of things, but of time lived well. Outside, the sounds of the village soften again. The brief activity of morning has passed. Now there is a lull, a wide, quiet space where the world seems content to simply exist. A breeze moves through the open door, bringing with it the smell of grass and distant trees. You stand and move through the room one last time, not checking, not fixing, only being present. A glance at the shelf, a touch to the doorframe as you pass. Small gestures that feel grounding, almost ceremonial. When you step back outside, the light feels settled, confident. The yard rests in it easily. Shadows lie where they have chosen. Nothing feels unfinished. You pause and take in the whole of it. The land, the house, the quiet rhythm of a life lived without haste. It feels complete, like a circle gently closed. The day continues on, calm and steady, carrying you forward without effort, just as it always has. The hours ease onward until the light begins to soften again, as if the sun is slowly lowering its voice. The air cools by a small degree, not enough to chill, only enough to feel like a gentle change against your skin. You make your way back inside, and let the door close with a quiet, familiar sound. The house holds a steady warmth, and the room feels peaceful, as if it has been waiting for you. You move slowly, with no sudden motions, and begin the simplest evening settling. The hearth is low now, embers faint. You add one last small piece of wood and watch it catch, just enough to glow and give a soft, comforting light. Shadows shift on the walls, slow and calm, like the room is breathing. You wash your hands, rinse the basin, and set everything in its place. The small order of it feels soothing. When you sit, it is not with the feeling of ending, but with the feeling of returning to stillness, returning to quiet. Outside, the world grows hushed. Crickets begin again, steady and even. The last birds quiet down. The sky darkens gradually, the first stars appearing one by one, patient and clear. You let your eyes rest. Your breathing slows. The day, with all its small tasks and gentle routines, folds itself away like cloth neatly stored. Nothing is left hanging. Nothing calls out for attention. And as the night deepens, you feel sleep approaching the way it always does here. Not as something that arrives suddenly, but as something that gently gathers around you, warm and steady, until you are fully at rest.